Hi guys, welcome back to another book review. Today we're going to talk about A House of Flame and Shadow. This is Crescent City 3. So before I start, I'm going to say I do not give away spoilers on this book. But the things, when I give an overview of what this book is about, it is straight up going to give away the ending to book 2. So if you have not read book 1 and you have not read book 2, get the heck out of here because I don't want to spoil those for you. If you have, then go ahead and stick around. Okay, so let's talk about this one. My big one on this one is going to be I'm going to straight up say I loved this book and I hated it at the same time. Like, I have read the whole Sarah J Maas megaverse. I'm going to straight up say that I've read the whole Sarah J Maas megaverse. So it's not like I went into this blindly. It's not like I didn't know some of the stuff that was happening. I knew well aware. But the ending of book 2, where she got stuck, we already know how this one. So I'm just going to start going on the overview of this one before I go on for any further with this. Bryce gets stuck in A Court of Thorns and Roses book at the end of book 2, like in their world, their universe. She gets stuck in there, and that's kind of how book 2 ends. So book 3, you know, is going to pick up from there, and everybody trying to get her back, and her trying to get back home, all while this war is on the brink of explosion and whatnot. And so I'm not going to give any more from that. If you want more and find out what more is going to happen, you were going to have to read it yourself. But I'm going to tell you some of the things that I liked and I didn't like. So I love this book. I love all of her. I love this entire series. I do enjoy it. And they're good books. I just like them. But I love this book and I hated it because there's things that I did dislike. I was really disappointed in the crossover. Like, I was really excited and I felt like she really dropped the ball on the crossover, and I'm sure everybody has said the same thing. Whether her intention is I started thinking about it after the book was over. I'm like, okay, with some of the stuff that happens at the end of this book, could have been her setting up things to happen in, you know, A Court of Thorns and Roses series. Maybe that was her intentions, to give herself more chances to write. Maybe she never has the intention to do any crossovers. I do have to say there is definitely some Easter eggs dropped in this book. There was a name mentioned in here, and I'm like, I know that name. I know that name. So I went ahead, my butt, Googled it, and you know it was a part of Thorns, or a Throne of Glass. So I'm like, I'd heard that. I know that name. But anyways, my biggest complaint with this book, like I said, it's great. It has stuff going on for a long time. I was disappointed in the crossover. I did feel like the stuff that happened in the crossover drug a little longer than necessary. I think it took too long to get where they needed to be for her to uncover some of the mysteries and whatnot and stuff. So like I said, I don't want to give any more away because I don't want to spoil it for you. On top of that, my biggest issue with this book, and it is a me problem, and you are going to hear me say it, and I don't usually talk about it because I try not to say it, but with this book, it was such a huge thing. Multiple points of views. I can tolerate, my personal self, I prefer only one point of view. I can do two with the two main characters, the female and they or whatever, and even add in maybe a villain, like a third occasionally here and there. But this one has so many, and I understand the purpose of it is so that you know what's going on back home, why everybody's what they're doing to combat and how to get her back and what they're all going through and their own little stuff to combat the war that's about to implode, whatever. I understand it. I get it. I get why she did it. But for me, it took too much away. She was filling in too many blanks. I am somebody who, I think the reason I like the one point of view is because when things come to light, I'm like, oh yeah, yes, like I'm excited. And sometimes when you have multiple point of views, you lose a lot of the mystery. You lose a lot of that what ifs. And that's me. I felt like a lot of that was lost by giving so much away. But at the same point, I think she needed to do it that way. So like I said, I loved it. I hated it. At the same time, I loved it because I loved getting to know the other characters better. I loved getting to know their points of views and everything else, but I hated that I hopped around so much on the different characters. I really prefer just to see it. And like I said, so that's a me problem. That's nothing against her. That's nothing against the book. That is a me problem. The book does move pretty quick. Like I said, it's constantly got something going on. I'm sorry, I'm going to tell you now, this book has something constantly going on. And that's it. So everybody knows what goes on. This romantasy, this one is not that spicy. It's got a little tiny bit of spice in it, but just like the other ones, not really spicy. Like, they don't have time to do a whole lot. Like, and even, I mean, and in the spices, some of the other characters are experiencing the spice. So there's stuff that's happening, but it's just not, I guess what I went in is I was expecting something very different than what I got. And maybe that's why I was disappointed, but yet it is a amazing book. It is written good. It keeps you on your toes. It's really got a lot going on. It's really interesting. So, like I said, loved it and I hated it. at the same time. But if you know it, you know it. The series angels, witches, fae, all of that all in one. War, rebellion, Asteri that are like sucking their powers. If those are things that are interesting to you, or you've been hesitant to read it, I can say it's worth reading, but go into it with your expectations not quite as high as mine were. I'm just going to say, go into it knowing, okay, the crossover is not going to be a huge thing in the book. It is not a main point of the book. Even though it seems like it's going to be at the end of book 2, it's not going to be that big of a deal, but there's still some awesome stuff that happens. So if that sounds interesting, or if you have just been holding off to check it out, I say give it a chance and go ahead and check it out. And I don't think you'll regret it. I liked it.